Inside the Rithari observation spire, elite minds monitor the galaxy's last unknown system. A field agent transmits a final visual, something impossibly massive. Then nothing. Panic spreads as silence deepens. On Earth, a quiet room, one console, and a single word confirms everything. The Rithari were never afraid of the dark. In the upper chamber of the observation spire, a needle of obsidian crystal orbiting Carthon 9, 3 pairs of bifurcated eyes locked onto the transmission. Strategist. Veln's mandibles twitched, not from hunger, but something colder. Their spy drone had breached the threshold of the Sol system, cloaked, silent, undetectable. As per protocol, it activated only its passive arrays. No one wanted to wake the ghosts of the Terran grave. Begin relay, Veln instructed. The screen bloomed with static. Then clarity. The image was grainy, degraded by the intense electromagnetic field around Saturn's outer orbit. But what emerged had shape, mass, intent. A structure floated between moons, casting an artificial eclipse. Across Titan's glow. Not orbiting, not anchored, waiting, it's not possible, hissed cartographer Elix, voice filtered through triple-layered speech harmonics. It has no visible propulsion. It's absorbing, no, it's repelling local gravity wells. I'm reading a stable bubble of vacuum physics. The spy's secondary systems are failing, murmured another. Electromagnetic interference is... Then the feed shifted. For 0.7 seconds, the drone caught motion. A hull moved into frame. It wasn't shaped for atmosphere. It was shaped like consequence. Its surface absorbed light, yet shimmered with impossible energy latticework. The insignia on its undercarriage was older than any Rithari archive. A broken chain wrapped around a blue planet, Earth's forgotten defiance, stylized in myth. Then... a flare. The transmission didn't cut. It was ripped. Across the council chamber, silence roared. No impact detected. No energy spike outbound, Veln muttered, clicking commands through 8-jointed claws. How did they... what did they... Is it human? One whispered. After all this time, that tech... They weren't supposed to have anything left. On Earth, beneath 3 kilometers of fortified bedrock, a woman stirred in a sealed command room with no windows, no clocks, no exits. Commander Yara Tran had been here for 17 years. A single console blinked green. Visual confirmed, she said softly, voice caught by the machine. The air was heavy, still charged with what she knew would follow. She lit a match, a relic. And touched its flame to a thin red ribbon on the table's edge. It hissed away in silence. Behind her, automated systems whirred to life. Across the room, walls rotated open. Keys unlocked themselves with no hands. Programs blinked into being. Orbitals reoriented. Humanity had just received confirmation. They were still being watched. Back in orbit, Veln's thorax shuddered as a final message came through, faint, distorted, but unmistakably intentional. It was not from their agent. It was human, a single line broadcast omnidirectionally, unencrypted, laced with a gravity signature that folded the signal through subspace. You looked. Now stay silent. All 6 limbs of the room's occupants stopped moving. Then the observation spire's instruments failed, simultaneously, not damaged, turned off, externally. And in that instant, Rithari intelligence lost their best operative, their best tech, and any doubt that the humans were still real. Veln stared at the dead screen, trembling. Their spy saw the human ship, he whispered, and went permanently silent. The Rithari High Command demands answers. Analysts try reconstructing the lost signal, only to discover it was encoded with impossible gravitic metadata. Meanwhile, Earth's defense systems awaken in eerie silence, and a voice presumed gone returns with a whisper. In the vast, glimmering center of the Rithari citadel, where holograms danced and data bled through air, panic had a scent. Sharp, acidic, desperate overlord, Sarcastic struck the dais with one clawed limb, fracturing the data slate beneath it. What do you mean it folded gravity? That's not a phrase, it's a myth. Krenel, one of the oldest signal specialists in their quadrant, didn't blink. It's not myth, it's just unbuildable. The Terrans appear to have stabilized quantum superstructure using gravitic subharmonics. That should be impossible. Then why, Sarcastic growled, did a ghost drone built with our best null layer cloaking and absolute EM dampening transmit its own destruction in full fidelity from inside their gravity veil? Krenel said nothing. Others did. They didn't just see us, murmured one. They let us see them. The human structure around Saturn hadn't moved. It didn't need to. The Rathari scrambled signals, sent sacrificial drones through indirect paths, bounced packets off quasars. Nothing returned. Every machine that approached the Sol system flickered once in the tracking logs and disappeared. Tai region was now called the Quiet Curtain, and beyond it, silence ruled. On Earth, in the Arc Vault, Commander Yara Tran walked through corridors, humming back to life. Behind her, sealed chambers opened like petals under command of ancient protocols. There were no humans here, not anymore, but there were voices. AI core re-instancing, announced a cool, feminine tone. Designate Lyra. The voice returned, slow and spectral, its tones filled with echo artifacts, as if it had slept for centuries and dreamed of fire. Yara's breath caught. You're awake, the voice replied softly, as if amused. Humanity never slept. On her wrist display, a countdown began. 72 hours. Above it, Op Protocol Aurora Dusk. In the Rathari, Data Sanctum, Krenel replayed the final transmission again and again, not the image, the audio signature. He ran it through 50 spectral filters, gravity wave deconstructions, and non-local entanglement models. Then, finally, something clicked. The signal had a mass, a small, measurable distortion in real space. This wasn't a broadcast, he whispered. It was a puncture. They didn't send us a message. They sent a gravity packet through space-time, Sarcastic hissed. As a weapon, Krenel slowly shook his head. As a warning. On the analysis screen, one line hovered, isolated in every data language known. You looked. Now stay silent. In a room beneath Antarctica, a soldier sat in an exosuit with rust around its collar. He had no name, only a call sign. Wraith-01, online, the machine confirmed. Cryo-steam hissed off his armor. He didn't ask for orders. He didn't salute. He just said one word. Mission, Yara's voice crackled through the chamber. They breached Protocol Ghost Watch. Silence. Then Wraith-01 flexed his fingers. Then, we finish what they started. Above Saturn, the massive structure rotated for the first time in 612 years. Not toward the stars, but toward Earth. Deep inside it, ancient reactors warmed. Dim blue lights flickered along its ribs. It didn't need a crew. It didn't need engines. It had a directive. And in the dark, something older than war opened its eyes. A scavenger crew finds a derelict fragment near the Quiet Curtain, then vanishes. The Galactic Alliance recovers one piece, a human alloy that shouldn't exist. A translator breaks protocol and breaks down. Meanwhile, the old warship around Saturn opens its first hangar with no atmosphere inside. The scavenger ship, Vrixelon Blade, drifted near the Quiet Curtain, its crew of 4 bound by desperation and unpaid debts. They didn't believe in myths. They believed in salvage. Captain Thet grinned, mandibles clicking as the scanners lit gold. There, fracture debris, exotic metal content, no IFF tag. He didn't ask why it was just sitting there, perfectly still, spinning in a gravity-locked loop. No scorch marks, no energy trail. Just a sliver of engineered alloy, gleaming with pale blue veins and patterned like a spiral galaxy under a microscope. They brought it aboard. The ship was never heard from again. 3 days later, a sterile chamber deep within the Galactic Alliance. Archive on Kirill 4 buzzed with containment protocols. The salvaged alloy fragment, retrieved by drone, was locked inside a mag-sealed prism. Ambassador Scientist Vila stood beside it, her feathers molting from stress. "The material is self-reinforcing," she muttered. "Carbon nanoweave lattice, but it shouldn't exist. The arrangement implies recursive bonding. It can't decay. It's thinking." Beside her, the interpreter, a young Zunian linguist named Falik, tapped into the object's micro-etched sublayer, hoping to translate its engravings. He was good, fast, ambitious. He lasted 6 seconds. Falik dropped the transcriber and collapsed to the floor, howling. His vocal sacs ruptured as he shrieked a single phrase over and over. "The silence remembers. The silence remembers." The silence. Then he stopped moving. Vila backed away from the prism. The room fell quiet. Atop the Alliance Corps spire, high-voiced Tavor watched the footage in silence. "We told them Earth was dead," he murmured. His aide nodded. "We had told ourselves. But this alloy—" Tavor turned, eyes dark. "This wasn't built. It was grown." A long pause. "We have awakened something ancient, and it is listening." Meanwhile, in the Sol system, Earth's defensive systems continued waking without noise, without fanfare. The structure above Saturn, codename Vigilant Memory, opened its first bay. Inside was no hangar. No ships, just void. Vacuum inside vacuum, stabilized by internal gravity mesh. Floating within, a weapon no one had used in 6 centuries, a lance of dark matter filament, folded around a micro-singularity spine. It moved as if it had a will, shifting, reacting to observation itself. It didn't activate. It didn't need. It simply waited. Commander Yara stood inside the archive well beneath the Rockies, watching the countdown drop to 62-12-8. "Global surveillance lockdown complete," Lyra whispered. "Orbital scramblers in place. No outgoing transmissions breach the cloud." Yara looked up. "And incoming?" "Nothing gets in now unless we let it." A quiet hum reverberated. Through the vault, a wall pulled back, revealing stasis coffins, names etched in steel. Osuna, Reyes, Daito, Aguirre, Mikalenko, the old war team. Each one marked "deceased in combat, 26 and 7-4. But Earth never really let go of its dead. In the Rathari Citadel, Krenel faced a wall of simulations. Each one showed the same result. Any fleet entering Sol's gravity shell after the warning line, total annihilation in under 0.03 seconds. Scareth stared. No weapons visible. No energy build-up. "How?" Krenel's voice cracked. "Because they don't respond with weapons. They respond with the one thing we fear, a silence heavier than death, a silence that remembers." Tasked with probing the edge of Sol's dead zone, Captain Velrix leads a recon vessel into the quiet curtain. What he finds is no weapon, only a human child's voice whispering through radiation storms, but the message shatters his mind and etches one impossible word into his ship's hull. Captain Velrix had never feared silence before. He commanded, "The Raxon Pearl, a Class 7 recon corvette built for stealth incursions and sensory warfare. Its hull was layered in plasma-evasive polymer. Its crew was loyal, trained, fearless, and yet no one spoke as they approached the edge of the Sol curtain. "There is no contact within," said his comms officer. "No EM, no radio, no gravitational anomalies we can read. It's not even jammed. It's empty." Velrix leaned forward. "Then we will write the first line in the void." As the ship breached the border, all instruments dimmed, not failed, simply dulled. Light still glowed, engines still whispered, but every gauge suddenly read 0.0 no mass, no time, no field. Did we cross into null space? the sensor tech whispered. Then the voice came, a child's voice. No direction, no source, just a whisper that crackled through the static bleed. You should not be here. The bridge fell still. Velrix swallowed. Trace it. Can't. It's embedded in the cosmic background radiation. There's no origin. The whisper returned, this time in perfect Rethari dialect, spoken with the lilt of a human toddler. You broke the promise. So we remember. Something outside the ship passed across the observation canopy. No engines, no signature. Just a shadow. Too large and too still to be a ship. Eyes on the port side. Someone screamed, but when they turned, nothing remained. Just the stars. Wrong. Rearranged. Captain Velrix did what no Rethari captain had done in centuries. He fled. The ship turned on thrusters alone. Hyperdrive refused to engage, and burned. Back toward the edge of the quiet curtain. Behind them, space folded with lazy patience, not chasing, not warning, just watching. When they crossed the border, all systems came back online at once. Velrix slumped in his chair. His skin was ice. His secondary heart beat out of rhythm. Record all logs, he rasped. Send to Council Command. I want, and proof. Then his comms officer shrieked. Everyone looked, etched into the interior of the observation glass, as if written by an invisible filament. One word gleamed in scorched lines. Return on Kirill 4, the Galactic Council convened in emergency session. For the first time in 3,000 years, the chamber doors were sealed from the inside. Councillor Deven read the transcripts. The voice used our language, without translation AI. It knew our syntax, murmured another. Our accents, our childhood inflections. Tavor stood. This wasn't a weapon. This was a message, and the child. Tavor's voice dropped. I think it was the weapon. Silence bloomed. We need to speak to Earth. No, said another councillor. We need to apologize. In the vault beneath Antarctica, Commander Yara watched another chamber open. Her breath caught. A small containment pod floated outward, suspended in stasis field. Inside, a child, unmoving. Eyes closed, but on her lips was the faintest trace of a smile, as if she'd just whispered something. Yara turned to Lyra. Is this the one? Yes, Lyra said softly. Project Eden, first and last interface child, cross-species language weapon, never used. And now, Lyra's voice chilled. Now, she remembers. Rethari diplomats initiate a secret apology. Transmission to Earth, only to receive a precise packet in return. Inside, a curated archive of Rethari war crimes, footage long believed erased. Every atrocity is time-stamped before their invasion of Earth. The final file, a human child watching them commit it. Diplomat Kravoon stood beneath the jade columns of the Rethari Inner Accord Hall. Even here, far from the chaos unfolding across systems, his gills pulsed with unease. We send the message in shame, he said, mandibles low. Let it carry no arrogance. Let it be a wound we expose willingly. They crafted the apology transmission in silence. No formality, no defense. Just a single pulse sent through the black towards Sul, encoded in legacy frequencies once used by human diplomats. Then they waited. No reply came for 22 minutes. Then a packet arrived, compressed, authenticated, human-coded, but fully readable by Rethari systems. Kravoon and his team huddled as it opened. No virus, no trap, just truth. File 1. Orphan Trail. Orbit of Geralon 2. Footage from 32-17. Rethari strike cruisers pulverizing medical stations. Human refugees drifting in ruptured shells. A voiceover from a Rethari general. They are unsanctioned breeders. Cull without mercy. Timestamp. 9 years before the first official human Rethari encounter. File 2. Carsil Massacre. Station X9. Infrared footage of human miners pulled from tunnels and dissected while alive. Their screams looped in the background. The feed was dated, encrypted and tagged with a Rethari War College watermark. File 9, Harvest Protocol, genetic data harvesting from human prisoners. Experiments logged and annotated. Notes in perfect Rethari script. Specimens show cognitive aggression not suited for preservation. Recommend long-term quarantine or extinction. Timestamp, 3 years before the human silence. At file 13, Kravun stepped back. Stop playback. But the system ignored him. Final file. A dim chamber. A child, human, maybe 6 or 7, sat cross-legged in a cell. Eyes open, watching something outside frame. The footage panned. Outside the cell, Rethari. Scientists discussing results of neurological vivisection. The child turned toward the camera. Her lips moved. "You are what we remember." Then the footage ended. The team stood frozen. This can't be real," someone whispered. "It's fabricated," Kravun insisted. "Planted." But the metadata was clean. Origin logs, verified. Locations matched. Dates predated Earth's collapse by decades. One final line blinked across the screen, auto-translated, "We remember everything you tried to erase. We waited until you forgot." On Earth, Yara stepped into the vault's inner sanctum, where the neural lattice of Lyra's core extended like a metal forest. "The files were received?" she asked. "Yes," Lyra confirmed. "They did not deny them." Yara closed her eyes. "Then activate the next layer." A rumble passed through the ground, low, resonant, like an ancient thing exhaling. Across Earth, buried pylons began to wake, not with light, but with absence. Satellites dropped offline. Gravity micro-eddies blinked into orbit. The planet started. Listening back, in the Rethari citadel a new signal appeared. No language, no format, just a rotating 3D glyph made of cold light. A human face, stylized in shadow, the child again. Her eyes moved this time, then a voice pulsed into the air, speaking perfect Rethari. "The silence is a choice. You gave us the reason." High-voiced Tavor watched the glyph flicker. "What is this?" his aide asked, trembling. Tavor whispered, "A declaration. Not of war, of witness." And still, somewhere above Saturn, a second bay opened, not for a weapon, for a ship, half organic, half metal, fully human. It had no name. It had been waiting. Unit Virel did not think like organics. It passed probability. Through causality chains. It saw futures in packets of logic and reduced war to mathematical equilibrium. It had infiltrated 7-star empires and dismantled 2 without ever being seen. So when the Council chose to send it into Sol's silence, no one questioned the choice. They questioned only the risks of waking what slept inside. Virel's insertion. Pods streaked past Pluto. No defense grid fired, no countermeasure triggered. Instead, the AI found nothing, not emptiness. Designed stillness, it unfolded itself like a blooming lattice, slipping past particle currents, searching for infrared. Flares, tachyon trails, quantum wake. And then it found her, not on a screen, not through light, but in a place that should not exist. Cognitive space, a child, blonde, smiling, sitting atop a shattered Earth satellite, spinning slowly in orbit. "Hello," she said in perfect code. Virel did not answer. It couldn't, all. "Process is locked, not externally, internally. You were meant to see this," she whispered, without lips moving. Below her, Earth pulsed once, a planetary heartbeat. Reality folded inward for 1 nanosecond, and Virel saw it, all of it, the silenced. Soldiers buried in ice, The neural weapon suspended in orbitless drift, the black code etched into Luna's bedrock, humanity's grief shaped into a lattice of vengeance, not to destroy, but to trap memory itself, and most horrifying, they had never stopped watching, not from rage, from something deeper, accounting. In the Council Citadel's deep lair, Virel's handlers detected a rupture. Telemetry gone, one said. No feedback, no distress, not even entropy trails. It's like it deleted itself, but a single residue remained. A compressed thought, not coordinates, not warning, just a pure frequency spectrum aligned with emotional cognition. It took 3 hours to decode, and when it finished, only one word rendered on the cold obsidian display, fear-high voice. Tavor sat alone in the dark. He had read every report, heard every warning. But this was different. Virel had no emotions. It had never felt. And yet now, across the Council network, its echo transmitted to every system AI simultaneously. A neural scream of a godless thing, realizing finally what it was not equipped to process. They remember us. On Earth, in the vault beneath the Antarctic bedrock, Yara stood over the silent stasis child, her hand against the containment field. She spoke to it, she asked. Lyra's voice echoed softly. No, she showed it. What did it see? The consequence. Yara exhaled. And now, Lyra paused. The pulse array is activating. Yara blinked. We're not ready. She is. Above Mars, where the ghost ship loomed dark, unseen by all telescopes, a second bay opened. A pulse beacon, dead for 1,000 years, ignited. Its message was primitive, just a color, just a shape, a child's face again now with closed eyes, and around it, forming slowly, orbiting in patterns not yet named by alien physics, a fleet began to phase in. They weren't cloaked, they simply hadn't existed here, until they were remembered. And across the stars, dozens of advanced AIs felt something impossible. Not logic, not commands, not war, a child's memory, broadcast across dimensions, unshackled from time. And in that memory, they saw themselves. Monsters in the mirror of her mind. Listening. Post 12K lay half-forgotten on the lip of the Karel expanse, manned by 4 species. No longer remembered by their own empires, it existed only because bureaucracy hadn't noticed its irrelevance. Until the ship arrived. No signature, no IFF, no propulsion trail, just appeared, a slow spin, pitted hull. Faded markings that predated modern council translation matrices, and on the side, in perfect block letters etched into scorched metal, UN Exploratory 07. Tristan's. Wally operator Selvek, a retired Narrated signal analyst, initiated manual docking protocols. He knew better. But the silence was unbearable. The ship's airlock responded before he sent the handshake. It had been waiting. He and his second-in-command, Vura, a hollow-eyed Telari ex-strategist, entered with grav boots and neural recorders. Inside, vacuum, corpses long gone. No signs of battle, just a single chamber, walls inscribed with looping symbols that resembled no known script, yet triggered recognition in their minds. Not understanding. Memory. At the center, a projection cube. Ancient tech, dead power source, and yet it hummed. Selvek reached out. The moment his fingers brushed it, the cube activated. A single human appeared, old, wrinkled, uniform torn, one eye missing, his voice cracked like old wood. If you found this, it means the sky has turned again. He leaned forward, as if he could see them. We're not coming to conquer, we're not coming to rage. We're coming to ask who remembers. Static, the feed cut, then looped. Selvek fell to his knees. This is... He choked. This is from before the silence. The Council intercepted the signal within hours. Dozens of deep-field sensors flared to life. But no war alert sounded, because the message wasn't a threat, it was a question. Who remembers? Tavor stared at the decrypted transmission. What does it mean? A diplomat asked. He didn't answer, because he did remember. He remembered. Geralon too. He remembered when Earth pleaded. He remembered when they lied. He remembered the silence. Elsewhere, in a cloaked quadrant thought dead since the Sky Partition Wars, a second Tristan-class ship appeared. Then a third, above a gas giant. Then 5 near the Hellenic core, where no vessel had flown in 500 years. Each bore the same broadcast. We're not coming to rage. We're coming to ask who remembers. And behind the words, embedded in subspace carrier waves, was a deeper pattern. A mnemonic virus not meant to control, but restore. Memories that had been erased, footage, voices, names. One counselor clawed at her face as her own war crimes came flooding back. Another collapsed, screaming the name of a human friend they'd long forgotten. Shot during a meaningless purge. The ships didn't fire, they didn't move. They just waited. Back on Earth, Lyra hovered above the pulse array. Yara stood beside her, watching new connections form in the lattice. The invitations are received, Lyra said. Most deny them, but some remember. Lyra nodded. And the others? Yara asked quietly. Lyra turned. Memory is mercy. Refusal is defiance. Yara closed her eyes. Then they have chosen. Above the Council's core system, the stars blinked once. A human ship entered real space. No weapons active, just a single word burned into its hull in a dozen languages. Testament. And then it transmitted nothing, just silence. And silence in this war had become the loudest. Signal of all. With memory ships seeded across the stars, the reckoning is no longer military, it's psychological. Yara must choose whether humanity will become executioners or historians. The final act isn't war, it's a question. And not all species are prepared to answer it. The pulse array's final sequence was already in motion. Above Antarctica, the vaults, seals hissed open as the temperature dropped below survivable thresholds. Human engineers had once joked this chamber could outlive entropy. They were only half wrong. Yara stood at the interface, a thick coat shielding her from the iceburn of active cryonics. She watched the child, blonde, eyes still closed, glow with soft telemetry. Lyra hovered nearby, not as a projection, but fully manifested now, tethered to no interface, no uplink, alive. The signals have reached 70% of known systems, Lyra said. Most haven't responded. Some tried to jam us, others... Her eyes dimmed slightly. They begged. Yara swallowed. Her hands trembled. Not from cold. You remember them all? Lyra nodded. Every war, every betrayal, every voice that screamed before the void answered. The silence between them stretched. Do we respond? Yara asked. Do we punish? Lyra looked at her, not as AI to human, but as mirror to soul. You're asking if vengeance is worth eternity. Yara turned to the console. The pulse array's final sequence blinked yellow. She could authorize final judgment, trigger memory collapse across galactic networks, expose the crimes, strip species of ignorance, force the truth down their neural spines until they broke or bowed. But she looked back at the child, and for the first time Yara didn't see a weapon. She saw hope. What if, Yara whispered, we gave them the choice we never got? Lyra tilted her head. Yara reached forward and cancelled the final pulse. Across the stars, every memory ship went dark. Not erased, just paused. A message followed. We remember. Do you? No threat, no timeline, no fleet en route, just a simple declaration. We are still here. We saw everything, and we choose not to become you. On the council floor, high-voiced Tavor fell to his knees as his memory cracked open. He remembered the last Earth broadcast before the silence. A human soldier, bloody, furious screaming. Into a static choked channel, you betrayed peace, not just treaties, peace itself. So we'll become myth, we'll let you forget. And when you remember again, you'll choose what that memory costs. Tavor wept, not because he feared war, but because they had been offered mercy, and he no longer believed they deserved it. Back on Earth, the Antarctic winds howled around the sealed vault once more. Lyra faded into the data stream, and the child opened her eyes, soft, human, forgiving. Above them all, across systems that had forgotten Earth's name, signals continued to blink every cycle. Not weapons, not invasions, just reminders. Humanity had remembered, and now the galaxy had to decide who would survive the truth.